Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing a set of watermelon nails. So of course last week the Kiki London Exotic Summer Collection launched. Here are the 8 gorgeous shades and 4 of these colours were just giving me pure watermelon vibes. So I wanted to do a set. So for the video, we're going to be using a Paradise Red. This is one of my favourite colours. And then, of course, we're going to be using Watermelon Sugar, which was one of the main colours that I really wanted to use in this set. It's such a perfect watermelon pink. Then we have the beautiful Parrot Green. This one is just so exotic. And then I'm also going to be using another one of my favourites from this set, which is Pistachio. Such a gorgeous light green shade. So we're going to do one nail at a time. So we're going to start off by doing the main watermelon nail design in this set. So I'm going to pop some of that watermelon sugar colour down on my Kiki London palette, and then I'm going to take my stripe liner brush. I'm going to be using this brush a lot throughout this set as it is my go-to brush for any kind of hand painting. So to start off with, I'm loading up that brush, making sure that gel polish really gets through the bristles. So I like to go in and out of the paint a few times just to make sure there's loaded but not lots of excess polish. And then we're just going to simply draw on a curve across the nail, roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail. I want to make sure I'm leaving enough space to get the green part of the watermelon down. And then because the rest of the nail's got to be painted with the pink, I'm going to use the bottle brush. I'm just going to very lightly apply a thin coat of colour because we are going to do 2 coats of colour. Now this colour is very, very pigmented, but I wanted to do the 2 coats just so the colour really pops because we're going to be doing a little bit of nail art over the top. But as you can see, it's super pigmented. For 1 coat of colour, that was insane coverage. Now for the second coat of colour, I'm not going to start off with my stripe liner brush because we've already got that crisp line created. So I'm able to just come in straight away with the bottle brush. I'm really loving these bottle brushes as well. They control the gel polish effortlessly as well. So it really helps to get things like nice, neat cuticles and sidewalls and things like that. So whilst that's curing, I'm going to get my green down. So first of all, we have that gorgeous Parrot Green. This shade is just so fun. I think it would work brilliant in some lemon and lime nails as well. This whole collection gives me quite fruity vibes. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that pistachio as well so that we can use both of these colours to create the green part of our watermelon. So I'm going to come in with a stripe liner brush again and starting off with the pistachio. And I don't want to overlap this too much onto the pink because you don't want to create too much of an uneven surface. So what I'm doing is trying to be really careful to push it up against the watermelon sugar without overlapping it. And then I'm going to paint this on roughly halfway down that little section that we've got left. And then I'm not going to cure this, but once I've got this down, it doesn't have to be a super neat line, but I'm not going to cure it. And I'm then going to clean off my brush. So I'm just using one of the Kiki London alcohol pads. And then I'm going to go in to that Parrot Green. And I'm going to basically do exactly the same, fill in the rest of this section. It doesn't matter too much if you touch that pistachio because we're actually going to be blending these 2 colours together. So I'm just filling in that section with the Parrot Green. And then I'm going to stick with using my stripe liner brush and I'm kind of going to ombre the 2 colours together. Not necessarily ombre like creating a perfect blend. More, I just want to create a bit of textured look. So when we're looking at when you've cut a slice of watermelon, obviously it's not a perfect pure green colour. You've got lots of different shades of green going on. So that's the kind of effect I was trying to replicate. So just using the stripe liner brush, I'm kind of roughly blending them together. And it's going to create that textured effect. And like I'm just doing, taking some of the pistachio up, flicking it up into the Parrot Green. And I really loved how it turned out. It just stopped it looking quite simple. It added a little bit of dimension to the nail. And then once I'm happy with this, we're going to pop this into Cure. If you can just see what I mean, it's not a perfect blend. I didn't want a perfect blend, but these 2 colours did blend together really easily. So if you are looking to do a green ombre, I would highly recommend these 2 colours. And of course, to get a better ombre, you could use the ombre brush. But because I wanted to create that more textured look, I didn't go for my ombre brush. I just stuck with using that stripe liner brush. And then once you are happy with that, we're going to pop that into Cure for 30 seconds. And then on to our next bit, we need to draw on some little watermelon seeds. So I've taken Kiki London's black heart and I've popped that down on my palette. And I'm just using the very, very tip part of that stripe liner brush and kind of just dotting on the black gel polish and creating that seed shape. I did originally try doing this with my detail brush, but I felt as though it gave my seeds a little bit too much of a rounded look. So I swapped back to my stripe liner brush. And here you can see I was just a little unhappy with one of those little seeds. So I just took one of those Kiki London alcohol pads and very carefully wiped that one off. And then I'm just going to come in and perfect it. I wanted these to look as realistic as I could for fun watermelon nails. So I just was trying to get those seeds as neat as I could. And then we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And we're then ready to come in with our first top coating step. So I'm coming in first of all with the No Wipe matte top coat. And I'm going to apply this to the entire nail. And then what I basically want to do is I want to add on some kind of like juicy watermelon drips to the nail. So what we're going to do is we're going to matte top coat. It's going to seal all our gel polish in, give us a fully matte surface. And then I'm going to take my No Wipe rubber top coat. And I don't want to use a lot of this, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of this down onto the palette. Now for this step, I would definitely recommend using a rubber top coat because you want to kind of create a little bit of a 3D effect, and where the rubber top coat is that little bit thicker, you're going to be able to create that effect on the surface of the nails. Of course, if you don't have a rubber top coat, but maybe if you have a builder gel in your kit, that would work for this as well, and then you could just come over the top of the builder gel with a little bit of a standard top coat. And of course you could also still use a standard top coat if you don't have either of those. It just might not have as much of the 3D effect to it as well, but it would still look really, really cool because it would give that glossy effect, which over the matte is then going to replicate those little juicy water droplets on the nail. So as you see, I just really easily dotted on some little water droplets, and then we're going to cure the rubber top coat for 60 seconds. And that is the first nail in our design finished. This nail was definitely the most fun to do. So let's jump in to the second one. Now for the second one, we're going to do an ombre using all 4 of those colours. I've been really, really excited to do an ombre with some of these colours from the Exotic Summer collection because lots of them pair together really, really nicely. But I did think doing a 4-colour ombre would be a little bit of a challenge, but we all love a challenge, and it was definitely a fun challenge to do. So first of all, I'm going to come in with the Parrot Green, then we're going to take Pistachio. Now what you need to be careful with is when you're coming in and touching your brush against uncured colours, that you're not transferring any colour onto your brush. So do always check your brush before you pop it back into your gel polish bottle. So we've got the Parrot Green, the Pistachio. We're now going to come in with a Paradise Red. And this is where I felt as though the ombre is going to get quite tricky. I know that the 2 greens are going to blend together really, really well. The same for the Paradise Red and the Watermelon Sugar. But I was kind of worrying about blending the Paradise Red with the Pistachio. So I'm going to take my ombre brush and I'm going to start off by blending the 2 greens together. Like I said, from doing the previous nail, I knew these 2 colours would blend together really, really easily. They're both greens. A lot of the time when you're using 2 similar shades, they'll blend together effortlessly. And these 2, they did. I'm just coming backwards and forwards, taking that Pistachio into the Parrot Green. It blended effortlessly. Now though, we've got to blend the greens into the Paradise Red, which we're going from quite a light colour to quite a dark colour. So it was a little bit of a challenge. I did have to really take my time and keep wiping off my brush as well. So when you see my brush go out of shot, sometimes I'm wiping it off on one of the Kiki London alcohol pads. This is so not too much colour is building up on your brush. The Paradise Red is very, very pigmented, so it is going to overtake the Pistachio quite quickly. So if you're cleaning off your brush, you're not taking too much of that darker colour into the lighter colour. Now this is the first coat of the ombre. Your first coat is never going to look perfect. You're going to get more of a better blend when it comes to doing the second coat. So here I'm just doing my best to blend them together. And of course, like I said, the Paradise Red and the Watermelon Sugar, they blended effortlessly into each other as well because they're both pinky toned colours. I'm just coming back in to perfect that a little bit. I had taken a little bit too much of the pinky colour into the Pistachio, so it did kind of overtake the Pistachio, but that didn't matter too much because technically what we wanted was a green to pinky red ombre. So having the pistachio there was more of a transitional colour rather than seeing too much of that colour there anyway. Once we had got that first coat of colour done, we're going to pop that into Cure and we're going to come in and do our second coat of colour. So again, we're going to start off by applying our Parrot Green right down at that cuticle area, then coming in with the pistachio. Now I did add a little bit more pistachio here just so we had a little bit more gel polish to work with and to create that blend with, because it's a lot lighter than the Paradise Red. Then just taking a small amount of the Paradise Red because of how pigmented it is. And then right at the very tip of the nail, we're going to come in with the watermelon sugar. I absolutely love how well the Paradise Red and the watermelon sugar blend together. It would create such a lovely gradient on a nail. So again, really easily blending in the Parrot Green and the pistachio. Haven't got to do too much work here to create a nice soft blend between those colours, especially where we are working on the second coat. And then leaving a little bit of that green on my brush, I started off blending out that harsh line between the pistachio and the Paradise Red. And this time I'm trying to not take that blend too far up into the pistachio, just to try and still be able to see a little hint of it between the Parrot Green. And then I'm just going to come straight down and blend out the two reds and pinks because I knew that they blended together effortlessly. So then I know that my greens are blended and my pinks are blended, and I just need to focus on blending out that harsh line between the two. And as you can see here, it's just mixing together and kind of creating a creamy beige kind of color where the green is meeting with the pink. And then once I'm happy with the blend, I'm going to blend that into the green a little bit more and then down into the Paradise Red a little bit more. And here I had taken a little bit of red right up into the Parrot Green, which obviously we didn't want. That's where I hadn't cleaned off my brush enough. So do make sure you're cleaning your brush off every now and then because the colors will build up on it. But I did just add a little bit more Parrot Green and just blend that out so we could minimize seeing the red up in that cuticle area. And then again, just faffing about, really trying my best to perfect this ombre. And then once I'm happy with this, before popping it into Cure, I always leave my second coat to sit for a little while, just to make sure the brush lines from your ombre settle out. The gel polish colors will settle together and you'll get a more seamless ombre without too many of the harsh brush strokes in it. So just pop the nail down just for a couple of seconds, say 30 seconds, and then I'll pop it into Cure and it will just self-level and it won't look, you won't see the brush strokes as much. Also, if you're not too heavy-handed, you'll minimize the amount of brush strokes you get in your ombres as well. And another thing as well, never judge your ombre until you apply your top coat. Your top coat smooths everything out and leaves you with that seamless finish. So don't stress too much if your ombre doesn't look perfect. Pop your top coat over it and then see what you think of it. So now we're going to pop this in to Cure for 30 seconds. And on this now, I want to create that same effect that we created on the previous now. So I'm going to come in and start off with my No Wipe matte top coat. And I have to say, I absolutely loved how this now looked, both matte and glossy. Here you can see what it would look like if we was applying a glossy top coat. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And once you apply that top coat, it smooths everything out. And the whole gradient between the colours looks a lot more seamless than what it did before we applied that top coat. So here's what it looked like matte. I'm absolutely loving it. And then we're going to come in with that same No Wipe rubber top coat and just paint on some little juicy water droplets using the detail brush. So I'm kind of trying to create some of these roundish and some of these more of that dripping teardrop shape, but I just am really trying not overplay it with the gel polish too much because we want to create that 3D effect with it. And if you start overplaying with it, it's going to end up a lot flatter. So depending on the look you're going for, if you want to create a more detailed teardrop, then you could do that, but it might be a little bit flatter. If you want that more raised look, then try and just dot it on without playing around with it too much. I wanted a mix of some larger ones and some smaller ones, so I did just come in and dot on a few smaller ones and then popped that into Cure for 60 seconds. And this was the finished result. I was really torn by which one of these nails was my favorite in this set, either this one or the previous one. I really do love the simplicity of the ombre one. So for our next nail, we're going to come in with the gorgeous blush. I wanted some more kind of simple nails to finish this set off because we have got a lot of heavy nail art on the first two nails. So I'm going to come in with my first coat of blush, cure that for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to come in with our second coat. And this gives us a really nice, simple nude base to work with some simple nail art on top, because a lot of the time I don't think lots of clients, or it does depend obviously, but I think lots of the time you don't want too much going on every single nail. So I've cured my second coat of blush, and I'm going to start off by doing a French tip. I want this to have quite a elongated, extended nail bed. So we're just doing quite a subtle edge of the French tip on here, not taking it too far down the nail. So I'm doing this with Parrot Green and my stripe liner brush, just creating a really simple French. So I start off by going straight down the nail, straight across the nail, and then coming up and down either side for the wings. Then I'm just going to colour that tip in, and of course you can perfect it with your stripe liner brush if you want to bring your sidewalls in a little bit more or create a little bit more of a curve. You can either do that by adding more gel polish, or you can do it by cleaning up with a little bit of alcohol on the round nail art brush. I was quite happy with how this one was looking, so I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then we really want that Parrot Green to pop, especially where we're working over a nude base. So I'm going to come in and apply my second coat of colour. Now this Parrot Green does look ever so slightly different over the nude base. Give it off a little bit more of a yellow vibe to it, which was quite cool to see. And again, just painting in that very tip using the bottle brush, because then you're going to get a nice smooth finish. And then I'm just going to perfect it a little bit with my stripe liner brush, just trying to get it as neat as possible. Of course, like I said, if you're not happy with how neat it's looking, take your round nail art brush with a little bit of alcohol and clean up. And then once we're happy with that second coat of colour, we're going to pop this into cure. Then I wanted to add just a hint of stamping. Like I said, I didn't want these two nails to be too complicated. I want them to be quite simple. So I'm going to stamp on some little black dots. These kind of looked very, very similar to the watermelon seeds. So it's going to tie in the whole design. And I'm going to place these so they're ever so slightly overlapping each colour. I love doing this on French nails. I love adding a layer of nail art over the French. There's just something about it. Let me know what you like adding to French in the comments below. Then we're going to take this little fruit, and rather than adding the whole circle, because I wanted it to look quite simple, we're just going to add half. So using my scraper, I've removed half of the image, and then we're going to stamp that down so it's overlapping everything, because then it gives off that whole layered nail art vibe. And look how simple yet fun this nail turned out. So of course now we need to seal it in, so I'm going to take my no wipe top coat and just apply a thin layer of this to all of the nails. It's going to seal in all our gel polish design and all our stamping in one go and bring that gorgeous high shine to the nail. I love how this set ended up being another set of a combination of matte and glossy. They are my favourite designs to do. And then once that has cured for 60 seconds, just look at the gorgeous shine on this nail. The no wipe top coat has to be one of my favourite top coats, but I do always end up using my rubber top coat because I love that one as well. So on the next nail, I have already done my 2 coats of blush. And on this nail, we're going to go for something simple again. You could have done 2 French nails in this set. Obviously, you'd have the thumb to do as well. So I probably would have done something a little bit more funky on that one as well. But you could have done 2 French nails, but for the purpose of the video, I want to do something a little bit different, so I'm not always showing you the same things. So rather than doing a French, we're going to do a cuticle cuff, because this is another way to add a little bit of nail art, add a splash of colour to a nude nail without it being over the top in your face, still keeping it quite classy and simple. So we're painting on, using the watermelon sugar, a simple cuticle cuff, very similar to how you do a French, except for you're doing it down at the cuticle end of the nail. I think this looks quite modern and trendy as well. So again, just painting a simple line across the nail and then colouring that in. You can make it a little bit more curved or a little bit more straight depending on your preference. And then I'm going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. Honestly, with this colour, I decided not to do a second coat because it looked absolutely perfect. The Parrot Green needed that second coat of colour because it looked a little bit yellow, so we wanted to bring another coat down to add that green colour back. But with the watermelon sugar over the nude, it really popped on its own. So I decided to not add a second coat of colour, and that's what I love so much about a lot of the Kiki London gel polishes. When you're using them for nail art, a lot of the time you can get away with only doing one coat, which obviously speeds up your set of nails. And then I've done the exact same stamp design, but I've done it on the opposite side of the nail, so it kind of flows as we're looking at the entire set. And then once again, same as before, we need to come in and seal in our colours and our stamping. So I'm going to take the no wipe top coat, apply a thin coat of this to all of the nail, and then pop this into cure. So of course, all of the products I have used today are available on the Kiki London website, which is always linked in the description box below. If you have any questions about any of the products or about any of the design or techniques, leave them in the comments below and I'm happy to help. This was the finished set. I absolutely loved how they turned out and I thought they were perfect for summer. So I really hope you all enjoyed watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a lovely weekend. Lots of love. Bye bye.